Could be meningitis. Could be, all of these could be a bunch of different things. These are the main offenders. More than likely, if you're throwing glucose, you've got an insulin problem. Okay, so you're probably diabetic. It can also be a brain tumor. So a bunch of different stuff. What about bilirubin? What is bilirubin a product of? How do you get bilirubin? You guys done it? No? It's breakdown of red blood cells. And if you're getting this from the liver, it's going to go into bile. Okay, so that's your bile connection. But usually when you've got high levels of bilirubin, you've got some kind of liver blockage. What kind of liver blockage? Ketones. If you're throwing ketones, what is that from? You know? Usually diabetes. Usually. But it also can be a big fat blinking sign of starvation. Because it's when your body's not using insulin properly, it goes to fat. So it's one of the byproduct things of fat. So if your body is starving itself, obviously you're going to be burning up more fat. If somebody's not overweight, yet they're throwing a ton of ketones. Starvation. Let's see. Blood in the urine, you got a UTI, okay? Or a stone. It depends on how much blood. Now, when you get stones, do you normally, just bleed out and pee out a bunch of blood? No. If you do see it, you got a sizable, nice stone. Those are good. What kind do you make? No. What did they tell you not to do? So, reduce your calcium? Okay. Yeah, I get the ones in that, but they're fun. Like, one time I was testing my daughter, and I said, what's the function of a kidney? And she's little, she's 6 when I asked her. I'm like, what's the function of a kidney? And she's like, to make stones. I was like, in our house, yes. But normally, no. No, it's not. Yeah. Kidney stones will give you blood. UTI is probably more likely it. You could have a kidney disease, you could have cancer. Those are like the, much less likely reasons for you to throw a little blood. Leukocytes. What's a leukocyte? Leuko means white, right? So those are your white blood cells. If you have elevated white blood cells in your urine, what do you got?
Infection.
Huh? Some kind of infection. Some kind of infection, probably UTI. What's a normal pH for urine? Low. Is it? I can't hear. I'm over my. Is it going to be acidic? Is it neutral? Is it basic? Huh? Yeah, okay, so usually in the mornings you're more acidic. So you're going to be between about 6.5 and 7. In the afternoons you're more alkaline. So it changes throughout the day depending upon what's going on. But you're usually more acidic in the morning and more alkaline in the afternoon. What do you want to shoot for? Neutral, yeah. For sure you want to shoot for neutral. What if you're throwing proteins? Or anything making you, proteins? You could have diabetes, but throwing out proteins is pretty serious. And the reason being is they're really big. And if you're pushing proteins out that glomerulus, here. You've probably got a kidney disease. Because you're having a total breakdown of what that thing's supposed to do. It's supposed to keep the proteins out. You'll have a little bit of proteins coming out. You know, you're always going to have a tiny bit of proteins. You don't have no proteins. So if you have high levels of protein, not good. It could be, just about everything. When in doubt, say diabetes, but it could be diabetes on this one. It's probably the kidney disease. You could have really high blood pressure too. That just is pushing everything so fast and pushing so hard that it's pushing big things out that it shouldn't. So that could also be high blood pressure. Which is the one we don't want high?
Diastolic.
Why?
Because it doesn't really last in the state.
Yeah, you gotta be able to do this, right? You can't always do this. Gotta have a relax. Nitrites. How many of you have had your micro? A few of you? Well, we'll talk about it anyway. What if you throw out nitrites? That means you got a bacteria in there that has nitrate reductase. Yeah, remember that one? If it's clear, it may not necessarily be negative. You gotta add zinc and blah blah blah, and it stays. It turns back to red. Remember that?
Yep.
Okay. So you got bacterial infection if you're throwing out nitrates, and it's probably E. coli. E. coli is one of the ones that has nitrate reductase. And where are you gonna get your E. coli? How are you gonna get E. coli infection there? Huh? You wipe the wrong way, yep. And I mean, how many people actually wipe front to back like you're absolutely supposed to? Of course you don't. Separate universes. Separate universes. Right? I'm trying to get my daughter to do front to back. She won't do it. She won't do it. So yeah, you're taking it from your poo and putting it in your stuff, and it's getting into your bladder. So, wipe better. Your old bulinogens.
Yeah.
What's that going to be a sign of? Billy anything. Anytime you got Billy anything, think liver. Okay, you probably got a liver disease. It's one of the byproducts of bilirubin. So back to liver. Alright, reproductive systems. Let's just generally go through, and then we're going to look at all the models, and then we're going to take out the cats, we're going to look at the human, and then we're going to have the Open Line Fridays. You can ask anything you want. Okay? Alright, so ovaries, we know what an ovary is, right? Uterine tube, fallopian tube. You can call it either one. The broad ligament is this one. Okay? It's broad, very wide and broad. Broad ligament is this one. The ovarian ligament is this little teeny tiny one that's connecting the ovary to the uterus. You'll have to see it when you come up here. Okay? But just write down what it is. Ovary to uterus. Mesovarium. It's part of the broad ligament, and it's this bit under here. Under the, I would say, under the ovary. And mesosalpinx. Okay, salpinx is actually another name also for the uterine tube, but nobody wants to use that one. It's ugly. Mesosalpinx, meso middle, salpinx, it's right in here. It's between the ovary and the uterine tube. It's that part of the broad ligament. Okay, the broad ligament is the whole thing. The and the fallopian tube. Fimbria, finger-like little projections at the end of your fallopian tube. They're the thing that's actually going to catch the ovum, suck it down into the fallopian tube. Where does conception occur? In the fallopian tube. Okay, good. So if my fingers are the fimbria, my arms are the fallopian tubes, here's my uterus. Right, the fimbria are going to be holding on to the ovary. Let's just say that's the ovary. So the ovary is going to spit out an ovum. It's going to get caught by these fimbria, sucked down into the tube, where it's going to wait for sperm to come on and fertilize it. The uterus is obviously where the baby is. What's the function of the uterus? Do not leave things blank on my test. Okay. The gubernaculum. You've got it. Is it on both of them? Yeah. Okay. Embryologically, it's going to be the thing that helps pull down your gonads. The isthmus is going to be the narrowing part of something. So if we're talking about the isthmus of the uterus, it's right here. It's narrowing itself to go into the vagina eventually. The cervix here is this like donut-shaped thing at the end of the vagina. That's between the vagina and the uterus. Okay. If you look at that, depending upon what you see, so let's say you're looking at a cervix, not it. What am I thinking? What's the word? What's that one? The donut? What's it called? Cervix. Thank you. What? Oh. If you look at a cervix like this, and it looks like this, they have not had a vaginal birth. But I didn't have a vaginal birth either. But mine looks just like I did. Like that. Okay, so something with pregnancy causes it to go from a nice little round bit to a dashed line. Cool, huh? And I didn't know that. I thought you had to actually have a vaginal birth in order for that to do, but on my last pap smear I said, what is it? What does it look like? He's like, oh, it's a line. I'm like, oh, that's weird. Yeah, I didn't know it. He wasn't a gynecologist. I was like, you don't know anything. You need to get out of there. It was just my GP. But, yeah, so even not having a vaginal birth, your opening to your uterus will change. All right, cervical canal is the tunnel that runs through the cervix. So the cervix isn't just a flat little thing. It really is like a donut. It's round and has some girth to it. So there's a tunnel that runs through it. That's your cervical canal. Vagina, the tube leading from the outside of the body to your cervix, going towards your uterus. Vaginal vestibule. Where have you heard the word vestibule before?
Oh, the vestibular, yeah.
No, not that much.
Oh.
Like in the normal world, where have you seen a vestibule?
We only know anatomy words.
In a church, like the vestibule?
No.
Seriously? The vestibule? Church? It's that entrance room you walk into before you go through the doors. Right? That's the vestibule. It's the entrance part. Okay? You can call somebody's entryway, like right when you walk into their house, that entryway, that's also called a vestibule. Okay? It's the entrance to something. Okay? So the vaginal vestibule, well, you'll need to see up close on the other model, but it's just as you're going in. Okay? Urethra, that's the tube leading from the bladder to the outside. You'll have a urethral orifice. There are two sphincter muscles on your urethras, one on the outside, one on the